moving on, I wanted to ask Patrick, our clinician, a direct question on the topic of magnifying our weaknesses. Patrick, from a clinical perspective, how can we approach our weaknesses and learn to help it make us more mentally stronger? What's your insight on that from a clinical perspective?
I think that's a loaded question, but I'll try to answer the best I can. So I think with that question, you really, the first step to addressing any issue is to identify the issue.
Hmm.
Which sounds like the panel, and you just then have quite a bit of an insight as far as what is your weakness and why it is a weakness. Um, from an analytical perspective, looking at the weakness, I have to consider why is it, there's several factors, right? Why is it a weakness? How is it affecting you? In order for it to be considered a weakness, what aspect of your life is it affecting? And, is there anything that you can do in order to improve it? And, I think I touched on this before. Really looking at your weakness and find out, like our amazing youth have shared, what is a little bit of everything, a little anything that you can do a little bit every day in order to overcome that weakness. So take one of the example, I think either Devontae or Shamar was mentioning about getting up earlier, but you, Justin, you keep snoozing your alarm. Think about it, as a clinician, if you are sleep deprived, either because you have insomnia, which is you can't sleep at night, or because you have there's another condition, which I'm blanking on a moment, but it
Okay.
causes you to sleep a lot. So either of the condition can cause you to sleep more in the morning and then miss your alarm clocks. And in addressing that issue, you really have to look at your entire routine at night. What do you do at night? What time do you go to bed? Is there any screen time that you use that will interfere with your sleep time and whatnot? So there's not really a clinical approach to addressing weakness, but more of an analytical perspective. So when I look at the issue, like, not be able to wake up on time and feel refreshed and energized, I look at the clinical side. Do you have any condition? But I also look at the behavior side. What do you do at night before you go to bed? What time do you go to bed? Do you have any obligations, any stress in your life that's preventing you from going to sleep? So in order for you to get a whole picture of that person, in order to get all those aspects, and then in combinations, then you realize why is that person cannot get up in the morning. The same for weaknesses. You have to address all of the factors that go into your weakness before you can even figure out the step to overcome your weakness.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for your insight and your answer, Patrick. That was a loaded question, but I'll add to that. I feel like when we identify our weaknesses and we look at them, they could bring forth a lot of fear. Like, I don't want to look into that. I don't want to see what's over there. I like what I'm good at. I like what I'm strong at. I'm going to stick to what I know and I'm going to keep that going. But there's a mindset shift that needs to take place psychologically for you to address those weaknesses if you want to step out of your comfort zone and grow into a more developed individual. Shamar, Devontae, you guys are, younger, and you guys are. I know, Shamar, you're going to jump into college pretty soon after you graduate high school, and that's going to bring forth a lot of fear because it does challenge you and it does exploit your weaknesses. It definitely magnifies. Oh, you may be good at math, but you may not be good at English, or you may not be good at really getting this topic over here, and that brings a lot of fear. And I experienced that a lot throughout my 12-year journey in college. So, but knowing that, hey, I'm going to sharpen myself as I do so, as I dive into these weaknesses. Hey, I'm not good at this. Let me go to office hours. Let me talk to my professor. Hey, I'm not good at studying. Let me get it with Patrick and let me talk to him and hey, Patrick, can we study together? And we're doing it together. So that's something I am strong at. So I'm using my strengths to better my weaknesses. And then I'm applying that in my life. I remember being really scared to jump into the ocean when I moved out here to San Francisco.
Mhm.
3 years forward, I'm in that ocean 3 times a week at least because I'm addicted to that feeling. But my mindset was so weak on like, no, don't do it. You don't need to do it. It's too cold, Justin. Don't go, man. It's not no. But then I had to realize how good it was for me, and I just shifted my mindset into magnifying that weakness. And you know what? I don't want to be scared of this cold water. I'm gonna go anyway,
Mhm.
right? And you can apply that cold water analogy to anything that makes us feel uncomfortable or anything that we're trying to get better at, because those are the things that help us grow the most. Learning our lessons from our mistakes, seeing those lessons as blessings, and always getting better each opportunity we get when we encounter something that we're not strong at.
Yeah.
Shamar, oh, go ahead, Patrick, please.
Yeah, I think you are touching more on the psychological aspect, a little bit
Yes.
different than clinical.
Mhm.
Psychology, and you know,
Mhm.
clinical medicines are a little bit different. But I think I'll add on to that since you mentioned that. Fear is definitely one of the factors that can contribute to someone's weakness. But I think also shame. So let me explain what shame has to do with your weakness. So as a society, when you're really good at something, people praise you. You're so good. That's awesome. Keep doing it. But when you're not good at something, you're often being criticized for it. So I think there's a little bit of learned psychological and as well as behavior adaptations to weaknesses. When you are weak at something, you hide it. You don't do what you're weak at because then people will see that you have that weakness and they may pick on you or criticize you for it. And you display your strength, you display what you're really good at. So people will praise you and will also open up opportunities for you in life and to get the life that you want. So I think fear and shame play together and train us to hide a weakness and not to address it head on, so like our youth panel has suggested, or you just suggested, Justin. So I think in order for us, now that we're getting back into that story, I'm getting a little more ideas of the clinical approach, or more precisely would be a psychological approach to
Mhm.
addressing your weakness would be have you confront the shame that you associate your fear with, and have
Mhm.
you confront the shame that you associate your weakness with. So when you are performing a task that you are not good at, what is sensation that you are feeling? What are the feeling in your gut telling you that you should not do this because you're not good at it?
Mhm.
So in order for you to overcome that weakness, addressing that mindset is the first step. Just like identify what your weakness is, you have to address that shame that come with that weakness in order to change your mindset. Just like you, Justin, you move to
Hey.
San Francisco and think about the water and like, oh, it's cold. And, if I go out the water and I shiver, the girls on the beach may look at me like, oh, look at that, like, weak guy, whatever, right? So, but if you change that mindset and, a little bit of a time, like, okay, I'm going to go in up to my waist today in the cold water and see how it goes. And the next time I'll go to my chest and then I'll
Mm.
go to my neck, go
Mm.
neck deep into the cold water and walked out of there. You also prepare, right? In order to overcome any weakness, as I mentioned earlier, you have to prepare the steps. So when you go to the cold water, what do? You wear a wetsuit. You don't just jump into the cold water unless that's something that you are training to do. Most people, when you go into cold water, they wear a wetsuit to protect themselves, right? Hypothermia is a risk. You can get cold and get sick. So in order for you to overcome the weakness, changing that mindset that I'm not good at this, I should not be doing this, to I'm not good at this. What can I do in order to prepare myself to overcome this and be good at it? Um,
Mhm.
that's the way to go. And I think that brings over the whole theme of our talk very nicely. Everything Shamar and Devontae and you, Justin, have has shared brought nicely to that mindset changing game. And that's how you magnify your weakness and it make it become your strength.
Perfect.